tuning into Hawk Talk on 91.7 The Edge, WSCW Whitewater. I am your host, Max Halverson. I got a full crew with me today. Well, one chair short, but that's all right. We got Austin, David, Drew, and Cyril. How you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Yeah, doing well.
Doing well.
Pretty decent.
It's a great Thursday. Ready to talk some football.
Absolutely.
Sir.
For new listeners, as you may not know, Thursdays during the NFL season during the NFL season is going to be all about NFL. We're going to be talking about all the upcoming games coming. This week, we got Week 4 action coming up this week, starting with the Miami Dolphins and the Bengals tonight. But before we jump into that, I want to do a little icebreaker with you guys. I thought I was going to wait till teams actually had a bye week to kind of ask you guys this, but because I was kind of curious, like, when do they have a bye week? But it's not till like Week 6, which I guess is good for the viewers, watchers of football, because you get to watch all 32 teams play. But my icebreaker for you guys is, if you were either, let's say you were a player for an NFL team or a coach for an NFL team, when would you want your bye week to be? Like, when do you think would your ideal bye week be? Anyone can lead off here.
All right, I'll lead off. I got 2 points. One, if you're like a playoff team, I think just in general, the later the bye week, the better, just because you get more rest before the playoffs. Then you get a bye week and then you can go down the stretch, try to make a playoff run or win the division. Or I think if a team's playing in London, I think the bye week should be the week after that. I think that should be like mandatory, just because like jet lag and stuff. Like, I think every team who has a London game should have the bye week the next week.
I would say that the best time, like, theoretically, for a team to have a bye week would be, right after they have like a big overtime game. Like, let's say a game goes into overtime and it's a super long game, super played out game. I feel like if you're a team that you win or lose, a bye week would be appreciated, since you'd have to recover from having to play additional football the week before the bye week.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with him. It's best to have your bye week right after one of your busier, your harder weeks, especially if like that game goes into overtime. Like, I feel like last week after the Miami Buffalo game, one of those teams, like, if they had the opportunity to, like, if that were a game later in the season, it would have been smart to take their bye week after that game, especially with how both of these teams have been playing.
Yeah, I also agree. I think everybody's, pretty much on the same point here. I think maybe in a week where you have a Thursday game and a Monday game or a Sunday game that, are kind of rub on top of each other and you don't have much time, then a week like that would be, the best time for a bye week. But, since the schedules are made ahead of time, it's kind of up to the discretion of the NFL. But I think that if I could choose my bye week, it would definitely be after a time where maybe I had a Thursday game, or if I had a tough opponent, back-to-back, or divisional game, something like that, where it would expend extra energy for the team. So that's what I would choose if I could pick.
Yeah, you guys bring up some really good points. Austin, you brought up a good point with the international games. I think, yeah, definitely that should be a rule.
Yeah.
That, like, you're going overseas all that way to play, and then hopefully none of them teams have a Thursday turnaround game right away, too. That would absolutely suck for them. But yeah, Sorrel, you too, talking about like Thursday games. I think if you have a short week like that, I think those teams should be able to get that bye week right after the Thursday games. I think that's really smart. But I was gonna go on and talk about like injuries and stuff too, but like you guys are saying, the schedule is predetermined, so you're never gonna know when, like, if your team's gonna be injured or not. But my thought is like kind of mid-season bye week. Just if you do have injuries, you can take care of that in the middle. Then you got the next half of the season to kind of make a push if you're, say, in a wild card spot, or if you're in already in that playoff picture, you're able to kind of keep that same pace going. But
agreed.
Yeah, good answers by everybody. I like that. All right, we will jump right into game one, which is tonight. The Miami Dolphins 3-0, undefeated, going into Cincinnati, taking on the 1-2 Bengals. Last week, Joe Burrow probably had his best week, week 3. He went 23 of 36, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tyler Boyd getting 4 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown. But also Miami Dolphins, they're still undefeated. 2-1-3 for 18, 186 yards for a touchdown, no picks. Chase Edmonds had 6 carries for 12 yards and 12 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. So I think if Joe Burrow can keep on what he did last week and keep trucking, I think they might be onto something. This might be a pretty good game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I don't know if any of you guys have seen, but the Bengals are busting out the white Bengal jerseys tonight.
I did see that.
At Cincinnati.
Their end zones are white and black,
Yep,
too. That
with
looks
the
sick.
White helmets. So simply off that hunch that they're not going to lose in those uniforms, I'm going to go with the Bengals tonight.
I'm also going to go with the Bengals. Tua did not look good at all, in my opinion, against the Bills. And the Dolphins also have one of the worst passing defenses to start off this year. And I like the Bengals in this game. I think one thing is that I think T. Higgins needs to be really careful because 2 out of the 3 weeks so far, we've seen him take a hit that has one resulted into a concussion, and the second one, which was last week, I thought he had a concussion for sure when I saw that hit. So I think he needs to be a little bit more conservative with his route running, but I still like the Bengals. I'll take the Bengals 31-27.
Yeah, I mean, this one was a big toss-up for me. Both teams really picked it up last week. Bengals just specifically, they had this huge turnaround. I remember talking about it last week. Burrow had been sacked like 20-something times already. But initially I had Miami 24-20, but I'm going to flip that, and I'm going to say Cincinnati 24-20.
Yeah, I also I was expecting to come in here and have to defend Joe Burrow, but it looks like everybody's kind of on the same page as me. For sure. But yeah, I usually I'm not very high on Miami, but when a team shows me back-to-back games that they're a good team, I usually go pretty all in on them, especially when you have playmakers like Waddle and Tyreek Hill out there, and Tua he has his great games, sometimes not so great, but he's a young player. But yeah, honestly, I would have to go with the Bengals this week because I think Miami's biggest detriment is that they don't really have, as was stated before, they don't have a great pass defense, and they're not going to have be great at getting to Joe Burrow, which has been the bane of the existence of the Bengals so far. Has been the poor offensive line play, or maybe lack of separation from the wide receivers, whatever the case is, and those happen to be the 2 areas where the Dolphins are the weakest. So I think we're going to see, especially with it being Thursday night football, primetime game. I think tomorrow we're going to get a lot of those. Joe Burrow is back. Joe Burr, if you will. Headlines. So for sure. We're going to see him in the chain tomorrow for sure.
Burr. And didn't Tua? I saw clips of him look like
he hurt himself.
Got absolutely knocked out.
He hurt himself. He's been questionable in practice. Mike McDaniel said that he practiced lightly on Wednesday, yesterday. So
did he go into?
Regardless, it'll be a toss-up going until we know for sure if he's playing tonight or not. Because if he's not playing,
him and Waddle are both expected to play, but they're both listed in fantasy as questionable.
Yeah, banged up.
Yeah.
That guy was seeing 8 footballs. Yeah, did he go into concussion protocol at all, or did he get tested? Do we know?
I haven't seen anything about that.
No?
I don't think so.
Shoot. Well, I guess if it's a game time decision, that may change things. But I mean, I guess you like the Bengals in this one. They got the whiteout uniforms, the nice helmets, the field's painted different. They're at home. They're gonna have the crowd after crowd roaring after they got the big win last week. But Miami's also 3-0. They've proven that they're a good football team. So I think it's gonna definitely be a close game. I think. But I'm gonna go Bengals probably 21-17.
And before we get off the Bengals, did anybody here see what Tyreek Hill said about playing Eli Apple this week after
I did
last
see
week?
that. I did see that.
That's definitely going to be a fantasy owners beware, for Tyreek this week. So I think he's definitely going to.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
He hasn't
Yeah.
forgotten about what Eli Apple said after the after they played the Chiefs last year.
Yeah, I definitely have Tyreek going for at least somewhere in like the 91-15 range for the yards today. So that's just something to look out for.
All right. Going into game 2, we got the 2-1 Vikings going into New Orleans. Saints 1-2. Last week, Jameis Winston finished with 25 of 41, 353 yards, 1 touchdown, but 2 picks. Mark Ingram, 5 carries, 18 yards, and a touchdown. And then we got for the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, 24 of 41, 260 yards with two tutters and no picks. Then we got Dalvin Cook, 17 carries, 96 yards, and a touchdown. I honestly don't know about this one. I think I like we were talking about last week, as you hate to say it as a Packers fan, you like the Vikings in this one. Even though they are away. I think they get a good team. I think I would favor the Vikings in this one.
Yeah, I would also favor the Vikings. Also, real quick, it is in London.
That's what I was.
Oh, that
gonna
is
say.
in London.
Yeah, I
Never
was gonna
mind.
say that's an early game for us at least. That's
I think-
8:30 in the morning.
I was gonna say that's the 8:30 one. That was poor research on my end there.
All good. So, also, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think Justin Jefferson will have a bounce-back game after he's taken a step down, obviously, since the Week 1 blow-up. But I think he'll have a bounce-back game. They'll give Dalvin Cook the ball. I don't think Jameis Winston has looked great playing through this injury that he's had. So I'm going to go with the Vikings. We'll say 24-17.
I'm also going to go with the Vikings. I agree with what you said about I think this is going to be a big bounce-back game for Justin Jefferson. I also think Adam Thielen had well and beyond his best week. He caught his first touchdown. He had like 80 yards. I think he's going to continue to build off that performance. The Saints defense is tough, and I think Jefferson is going to attract a lot of attention, and that's going to free up a couple opportunities for Thielen. I don't think Jameis has looked particularly good ever since he had a decent week 1, and he's throwing for a lot of yardage, but he's been one of the most inefficient quarterbacks to start off the season. I just don't trust him right now, especially trying to play through this back injury that he has. So I'm going to say the Vikings. I'll say 27-14.
That was one of the big things I made note too. New Orleans has a lot of people who are questionable right now. Jameis Winston's questionable. Alvin Kamara's questionable. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are all questionable players right now. So, at this rate, it could go anywhere. But I have Minnesota winning this one 28-21.
As the resident, Minnesota Vikings fan here, I wish I could put on the big Vikings hat like on college game day, but nah. I'm going to take the Vikings this week. The only thing, as the resident Vikings fan, last week we had to have a big comeback game against the Lions, and I think that we're going to keep riding that momentum, but keep an eye out on Jameis because I think we have we have the type of defense that you can take the top off. When I say we have, of course, I mean the Vikings. So the Vikings have a defense that you can take the top off of, and I think Jameis Winston is going to be one of those players that can do that, especially because you don't really expect it. Because the game I saw Jared Goff have against the Vikings last week was insane. So if Jared Goff can do it, I don't see why why Jameis Winston can't do it. But Alvin Kamara has been banged up. Michael Thomas is going to have a lot of attention on him. So I think that I could see a route, but I could also see let's go 24-14 Vikings for sure.
I know I didn't give my scoreline. I think I could see 27-21 Vikings in London. It's got to be fun playing in London. But we will go to Game 3. We got the 2-1 Browns at Atlanta. For the Browns, Brissett, 21 of 31, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nick Chubb, 23 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. And for the Falcons, Marcus Mariota, 13 of 20, 229 yards, 1 tutter and a pick. And then Cordell Patterson, 17 carries, 144 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had himself a day. But I do believe the Browns will take the victory here.
I'm with you on that. Amari Cooper is coming off back-to-back 100-yard games. That's the first time since 2016 when he was with the Raiders. So he's definitely having a coming-out party in Cleveland. Obviously, his time with the Cowboys, he was kind of inconsistent, but back-to-back 100-yard games is huge for him. I think he'll have another big day. They'll also give the ball to Nick Chubb, obviously, a lot. So I think Browns' offense is going to be too much for the Falcons. And I'll go with Browns 28-14.
I also think that the Browns have the edge here. The Falcons don't necessarily have like a poor run defense, but Nick Chubb is, I feel like, one of the most elite running backs in the league. I think he's going to have a field day. I see him rushing for anywhere from 80 to 120 yards and a touchdown or 2. I think this is going to be another big game for Amari Cooper. I think that he's really settled into the wide receiver role here with not much competition. I do think another name to keep an eye out for is David Njoku. I should know I had him in my fantasy team, and he burned me last week because I didn't start him, and he scored like 28 points, so that was sick. I think he's starting to develop a really solid connection with Jacoby Brissett. So I think he'll have another nice game. And yeah, I got the Browns winning this one. I'll say 21-10.
Yeah, I've got the Browns winning this one as well. I mean, Marcus Mariota, he's a good quarterback, but he's got to get some receivers down there. I mean, Kyle Pitts is one of the 2 outstanding names on that team, the other one being Cordell. So, but I have the Browns winning this one 21-20, and kind of as he said before, I mean, he's got Njoku's got really good connections with Brissett right now.
I'm gonna go away from the pack. I'm gonna go Falcons. I'm gonna go Falcons 21-13 because I think the Browns they do have a good offense, but they're inconsistent. I think that they have they're still trying to figure each other out in terms of biding their time until Deshaun Watson comes back. But I think in the meantime, I think the Falcons are one of those teams that are going to sneak into that, 6, 7, 8 win range and, kind of not particularly make the playoffs, but upset a lot of teams and make a lot of noise and, just be one of those teams that you don't really want to play because they are kind of unpredictable. And to be unpredictable, you have to have up games and down games. So I think this week will be one of their up games against a Browns team that, to me is a good team, but has taken a step back from last year, obviously. But I think the X factor will be Amari Cooper. I think if Amari Cooper comes out and has an Amari Cooper, level game, it'll, kind of take away the will, if you will, from the Falcons. So depending if as long as that doesn't happen, I think I'm going to end up being right. But I have the Falcons going 21-13.
It would be really nice to get, as someone who put a lot of fantasy stock into Kyle Pitts, it would be really nice to have an elite game from him because I've been waiting.
Yeah, Pitts can. I think Pitts can be a stud if he, if they can get him the ball. All right, going into Game 4, we got 2-1 Buffalo at Baltimore, who is also 2-1. Allen had himself kind of had himself a day. 42-63, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, but he had 3 fumbles and turned 1 over. But Devin Singletary, 9 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown. But Lamar Jackson, he also had himself a day, 18 of 29, 218 yards, 4 touchdowns, with one of them being a rushing touchdown. And then Mark Andrews, 8 carries, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This might be a tough game. Both teams had a pretty good games going last week. Obviously Buffalo lost, but we know that they're a good team. Secondary's pretty banged up, though. So I think this one might be an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has the potential for the Bills to be game of the week 2 weeks in a row. Obviously, it was probably the best game last week against Miami. I think this is going to be another shootout. Bills secondary banged up. Lamar, who I think is the MVP through 3 weeks. Also, Baltimore should give him as much money as he wants. Just a quick side note. But I think both secondaries are not up to par to keep up with the offenses. So I'm going to go with a high-scoring game, but I think the Bills come out on top for this one. I'm going to go 35 to, we'll say 28.
I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I also think this is going to be the best game of the week. I just wanted to say this, too. I think if the Bills' secondary is fully healthy, then the Bills beat the Dolphins last week and remain 3-0. But their secondary is still banged up, and Gabriel Davis actually didn't practice today. And if he's not in this game, I feel like just all the passing defensive attention is going to be on Stephon Diggs, who you can make the argument has been a top 3 wide receiver in football to start off this year. He's been phenomenal. I think that all the attention is going to be on him. I think I agree with what you said. Lamar Jackson has been well and away the MVP of the league so far, and I think he's going to have another big game. I can see him having I see him having a couple of really nice rushes, and I can see him throwing for 350 to 400 yards. And I have the Ravens winning, I'll say 35 to 27.
I've got Buffalo winning this one. I mean, this is totally off the assumption that, as you said, their secondary is fully healed, but I have pretty good faith in him being fully healed by that point. But so I have Buffalo winning this one. Mine's not like as big of a game, like gap wide though. I still think it is going to be game of the week, but I have 27-21 Buffalo winning.
Yeah, I think everybody, made good points. But like I came in here and I said yesterday and last week that that Jalen Hurts is the Lamar Jackson of the NFC, and Lamar Jackson is still the Lamar Jackson of the AFC. So I don't think that there's a more, explosive, unpredictable, quarterback than Lamar Jackson. And I Josh Allen has an argument for sure, but I think Lamar Jackson, is definitely he's in one of those streaks, I think, where he's going to, continue to get hotter and hotter and hotter before he kind of fizzles out. Maybe a bye week will, put his fire out. But I think that he's going to roll over the Bills this week. Score-wise, not so much. I think he's still going to win. But I'm going to go with 37-28. That's why I'm feeling something like that. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. And I think with no Gabe Davis, I think there's Gabe Davis, there's a chance that I think the Bills just lose steam, and it's going to come down. It's going to be a defensive game in terms of the defense is going to win for one of the sides. Whoever steps up defensively first is going to win, because I think both these teams I know both these teams can put up 35 on anybody. So it's going to be an exciting one to watch. Game of the week for sure.
Yeah, one other thing I thought of, I also heard heard somewhere that Buffalo is kind of one-dimensional. They don't have kind of a set run game. So I think if the Ravens can stuff that or continue to stuff the run and or maybe just play cover and kind of ask Buffalo to run and make them run and take the pass out, I think the Ravens can take this one. But I think I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I'm going to go let's go 28 to, let's go 20. I'll keep that. All right. Game 5. We got the rivalry. We got the Commanders 1-2 going into Dallas, who are 2-1. And my stats isn't working for the Cowboys, so may need to help me out with that one. But Commanders last week, they put up 8 points. Carson Wentz threw for 25 of 43, 211 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Antonio Gibson, he had 12 carries, 38 yards, and a touchdown. Their only touchdown. I do like the Cowboys. They did get a good win over New York last week, and I think they keep rolling and roll over Washington at home.
I'm also going to go with the Cowboys. I think through the 2 games that he has played, Cooper Rush has seemed to be a very serviceable quarterback for them. While Dak is injured with the thumb, I believe. Last week he threw for 215 and a touchdown. And also I think this with their running back duo of Tony Pollard and Zeke, I think they're going to roll over the defense of the Commanders. Also, the Commanders are not going to be able to score very much. They were at 2 points for most of the game last week before the 1 touchdown. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys pretty convincingly 24-10.
I'm also going to go with the Cowboys. I feel like, first of all, I just need to say this. Tony Pollard should be the running back one in this offense. I think it's pretty clear at this point Zeke has lost a step. And I think at this point, Tony Pollard is just the more dynamic back. But yeah, Cooper Rush has to be one of the biggest surprises of the season so far. His pocket presence and his awareness has been a lot better than what I remember it being from the little time that he's actually played. But I think that he's done a really good job of keeping the Cowboys afloat. And one of the reasons that I like somebody like him so much is that last week versus the Giants, when CeeDee Lamb had that really bad drop, the cameras after the offense came out, the cameras showed that Cooper was talking to him, and you could tell that he was just trying to say hey, he wasn't giving a hard time. He was just trying to talk him out of it and everything like that. And that's something you really like to see from a backup quarterback. I don't really think that the Commanders will be able to stop the Cowboys' run. I think that Carson Wentz he's just not the answer. I think he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, even though he did have a solid week 1. But somebody like Terry McLaurin had 102 receiving yards on last week, and he couldn't. And even though that was the case, I don't see that kind of production. I don't see that kind of production happening again when you have somebody like Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, 2 guys who combined for 7 sacks last week. I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for the Cowboys. I'll say 24-10.
I've got the Cowboys winning this one. It's just kind of in the script at this point. It's meant to be. Carson Wentz hasn't done anything since God knows how many years. I totally forgot he was still in the league. That's how much he's done. And other than that week 1, he hasn't really done anything since then. And I have Cowboys winning this 21-7.
I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I'm going to go, actually, I think it's going to be a much lower scoring, closer game. I'm going to go 10-13 Cowboys, only because, the Cowboys have what you call good problems. Their backup running back should be their starter, and, it looks like, Cooper Rush is starting to, make a run for, the reason, giving the reason why he should be the primary option at quarterback. So, it's good to have, those type of issues, but at the same time, I think the Cowboys still are the Cowboys, and they have, a tendency to drop games that they probably shouldn't drop. So I think it'll be a close one. I think the Commanders will have a chance, and since it's a divisional game, they're going to play up. So I think there's a good chance that, it goes down to the wire. But, I think, CeeDee Lamb is going to be a big X factor, and I really think we're going to see one of those 135, 140, 6-catch games by Terry McLaurin. So that's just my opinion.
I just wanted to say Michael Gallup is probably, I would safely assume, is going to be playing this week as well.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal.
That could add a whole nother element to the Cowboys wide receiver core.
I will say, if the Dallas Cowboys somehow lose to the Commanders, I can't wait to see what Stephen A. is going to say. So part of me wants the Cowboys to lose just to see, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're actually going to have a really good game. They're at home. They're playing a not very good Commanders team. I see it 21-6. That's my prediction. All right, Game 6. We're only in Game 6. Oh, boy. We got a lot more games to go. We will go to Game 6, Seattle at Detroit. Seattle's 1-2. Detroit is also 1-2. Jared Goff last week, 25-41, 277 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jamal Williams, probably one of my favorite players in the NFL. 20 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. For the Seahawks, Geno Smith, 32 of 44, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Rashad Penny. Actually, we won't talk about Rashad Penny because he didn't score a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 5 receptions, 64 yards. He had a touchdown. Will Dissly, he had 3 receptions for 34 yards and a touchdown. I think you're in Detroit. You're in Dan Campbell land. Bite your kneecaps off. We don't care. With the Detroit fans who are kind of feeling, I think they're feeling better about the team that they have the last couple seasons, this season included. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I do think I favor Seattle in this one.
I'm going to go with the Lions this game. In the essence of time, I'll be quick. I think the Lions' offense is greatly improved from last year. They've been scoring a lot more. DeAndre Swift is out for this game, which is a big blow. But I think they're still the better team than the Seahawks, and it's at home, so I'm going to go with the Lions, 24-13.
I'm also going to go with the Lions. I think, you said DeAndre Swift is out, but Craig Reynolds is I think he's been pretty good in DeAndre Swift's absence. I also think that this is going to be a tough game for DK Metcalf after pretty clearly losing the cornerback battle with A.J. Terrell last week. I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'd say one of the breakout wide receivers, is going to have this year. I think he's going to have a big game, and I think that the Lions will take this one. I'll say 24-17.
Real quick, I do want to say, I know Amon-Ra St. Brown, he went down last week. Is he good to go? Does anybody know?
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I thought he went down with an ankle or something, but...
Oh, he is questionable, yeah. And he isn't practicing today. Interesting, okay.
Something to look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a guy I really like too.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it before and I saw that he was questionable. I'm like, that might play a factor, but I still have the Lions winning this one. Just the way this offense is performing, they're like number 1 or number 2 in like score like overall this season. They're absolutely insane. So I have them winning this, but I have them winning 24-21.
I think this is, two. I would say the Seahawks are a little bit more new to the rebuilding process than the Lions are, but these are two teams that are gonna be towards the bottom of the NFC this year, in my opinion. But I'm gonna go with the team that has shown me more this year instead of the team that has more talent. I think the Seahawks are a bit more talented than the Lions, but I'm gonna have to go with the Lions because just from like I said, the Vikings played them last week, so just what I saw, just from the eye test, they have a certain pride to them. I feel like that is a little bit different than Lions teams of the past, and I think Jared Goff is playing very well. He's playing well. There's no other way. He looks a little bit like the Jared Goff that people forgot went to the Super Bowl and lost in the Super Bowl. So I think he's definitely acclimating himself better to the offense. He's getting the ball to players that can do things with it in good situations. He's not really throwing it in the dirt as much. No bad turnovers, no bad fumbles. So unless the Seahawks have a crazy defensive game, I probably see this one going down I would say. Let's go 14-7. I'm going to go 14-7 Lions.
I'm going to change my answer. I would like the Lions to win now. Probably by a score of, I'm going to go 24-27 Lions. Where are we here? All right, Game 7. 1-2 Chargers going against the 0-2-1 Texans in Houston. I got Chargers written all over this one.
Yeah, absolutely. This has got to be the Chargers game to win. Chargers game to lose too. I mean, if they lose, it's all on them. I think Justin Herbert's gonna have a big game against the Texans, who definitely one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NFL. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers 28-10.
I think that this is going to be a big test for Mike Williams to see if he can really fill in the wide receiver one role if Keenan Allen doesn't play. But even with Rashawn Slater being out for the year, Joey Bosa not sure when he's going to return, and Justin Herbert banged up with no Keenan Allen, I think that this is a pretty easy game still for the Chargers. I feel like they're going to go a little bit more run heavy and feed Austin Eckler the ball against a pretty subpar Houston Texans run defense. I'd say the Chargers are still able to win this game 21-6.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Chargers winning this one. Justin Herbert's been an absolute animal. He's got that arm that like no other. I mean, what was he again? I know we were discussing before. What's his passing yard?
Yeah, it's I think he's number 4 in the league this year.
So he's absolutely going insane. And I think kind of along the lines of what you were saying, Mike Williams is at that wide receiver 1 spot this game. But I think if they can all get the right system going right off the bat, I have them taking this one 17-14.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with you guys. I'm going to have to go with the Chargers. I love Justin Herbert, but if he doesn't put up at least 30 on, one of the worst teams in the league after, that 38-10, blowout that they had last week, I'm going to be really, have my, kind of arch my eyebrow a little bit, because I think he has to have one of those games that shows that he's still, who we expect him to be. And I think he has, just Herbert's in particular, has a little bit of that, he's young and he's such a great player. He's a superstar already that people kind of, turn a blind eye to, things that when he doesn't play well. So or he plays average, if you will. So I think he's going to have one of those big games, and he's going to come back and, really show that he's still Justin Herbert. And I think that the ribs, even the game where he, first hurt his ribs, he still, against the Chiefs, he still, came back and played hard. So I think that hopefully it won't be too much of a hindrance, but I'm going to go 35-14 Chargers.
I like the Chargers 31-13 over the Houston Texans. All right, game 8, we got the 1-2 Titans in Indianapolis with the 1-1 Colts. Colts had a surprise game, taking down the Chiefs last week. But I think that was kind of to me, I feel like that was a fluke game. I'm not sure who I like in this one, actually. I think I might go Titans. I think Derrick Henry will have a big game.
I'm going to go with the Colts on this one. I think it's obviously 2 of the best running backs in the league. I think Colts have to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor more. He has to do more. The Colts had a big bounce-back game. I think they can actually use that as momentum instead of more of a fluke game. And I'm going to go with the Colts 28-21.
I'm also going to go with the Colts. I think that the Colts need to go a lot more run-based this week. I think Jonathan Taylor should be primed if he gets enough touches for a monster game. Michael Pittman finally looks like he's healthy and back on track. He had a good game last week. I think he has a similar performance this week. I just don't like Ryan Tannehill at all. I think that he's well past his prime, and I said this last week, but I think the Titans are one of the most overrated teams in the league. Treylon Burks is a rookie that I like, but I still think that the Colts take this one. I'll say 27-21.
Yeah, I've got the Colts winning this one. Ryan Tannehill hasn't really done much. He's past his prime. He needs to just be done. Plus, Colts have Jonathan Taylor. They've got Michael Pittman. They've got these powerhouse names that we know now. So I have them taking this 21-17.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Colts as well. I'm going to have to go Colts because when you're playing in especially in a division like this year, the AFC South, which is, far and away the worst division in football this year, in my opinion at least. I think it comes down to, matchups. It comes down to matchups, and it comes down to who has, just the sheer better players. I think schemes can matter when you have two good teams, when you have two bad teams. I think the number one thing that comes out is who has the better players. And I think Jonathan Taylor is, at worst, the third best running back in the National Football League right now. So I could see him having a big game. Matt Ryan, I think, will have a bounce-back game against, I think a depleted defense. I think Darius Leonard's going to be good for the for the Colts this week. I think he's going to keep the Titans' offense that is already kind of flailing. I think he's going to keep them at bay. So and Derrick Henry's lost a step. Let's be honest. So my fingers are really crossed for a Malik Willis appearance like we got a few weeks ago. So that's just that's the only reason why I'll be watching this game.
Another thing I'd like to bring up too, really quickly, is that Alec Pierce, he's a really good rookie this year. He's just starting in this team, but I watched him play all last year, and I watched him play this year, and he jumped into that wide receiver 2 role behind Michael Pittman, and he's just done absolute insane things. He's probably going to be a big upcomer, I feel like, in this year and next year. He's going to get his good start.
For sure.
I never gave my score. I'll take the Colts. They're in Indianapolis. I'll go 13-10. All right, we got the 2-1 Chicago at New York. Bears barely beat a not very good Houston Texans team. Justin Fields threw 2 picks, 2 fumbles. Didn't turn it over, but their offensive line is not very good. And then you got the Giants. They came off of their first loss up against the Cowboys, but they kind of surprised us coming into this season, getting 2 wins right off the bat. I like the Giants in this one.
Yeah, I like the Giants too. Looking at the records, it's kind of crazy that one of these teams is going to be 3-1 at the end of this week, barring obviously a tie, for 2 teams that did not have high expectations going into this year. And I still think they're probably 2 of the bottom 10 teams in the league. But Saquon Barkley has looked good. He's actually second in the league in rushing yards. So the Bears really only have Khalil Herbert. Justin Fields has not taken a step this year like a lot of fans hope that he would. So I'm going to go with the Giants in a lower scoring game, 17-10.
I'm also going to go with the Giants. Just a fun fact, Cooper Kupp, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Marquise Brown all have more receptions this year than the entire Chicago Bears wide receiver corps.
We love to hear it.
Yeah,
we love to see it.
They've only had 23 receptions this entire year. A lot of people thought that this was going to be a breakout year for Darnell Mooney. He's been terrible, and you could blame that on the fact that they haven't gone very pass heavy, but if you look into it a little bit closer, Justin Fields has been one of the most inefficient quarterbacks. He's not getting many chances to throw. He's not making the right reads. I think that it's crazy to say that in this kind of a situation after last week that Daniel Jones is probably at this point the better quarterback in this matchup because of his rushing ability. I think that all the defensive attention is going to be focused on Khalil Herbert, and I don't know. I think that it's going to be harder because I think it's just going to be harder because the Bears wide receiving core, Byron Pringle, has proved to be a failed experiment. Cole Kmet's barely gotten any attention. Even though the Giants didn't look that great last week against the Cowboys, I still see them taking this one. I see a little bit of a lower score. I'll say like 14-7 Giants.
I think majority of Bears fans have lost hope in Justin Fields. I know we talked about it a little bit last night.
Right.
No one's really got any hope for him anymore, so I have the Giants winning this one 21-7.
Yeah, I was gonna say just the same thing. We came in here yesterday and we kind of put the stamp, if you will, on Justin Fields, and I think he's one of those players that could do well on a different team, but as long as he's with the Chicago Bears, I don't think they're gonna be a good fit. So I'm going to. Yeah, I'm gonna say the Bears lose 21-7.
Yeah, when you allow 5 sacks against Houston,
Yeah. And the Giants have a very good pass defense. Kayvon Thibodeau, was hectic. Julian Love had 12 tackles last week, and Saquon Barkley's back. He's playing at a higher level, and they're doing all this without Galladay being there, without Sterling Shepard being a great a great wide receiver, and they don't have a lot of weapons, but they're either staying tough in games or they're a catch or two away from being 3-0. So watch out for the Giants. I'm a big Danny Dimes fan, so after last week, of course, but.
Wow, bad time to cough there. Yeah, I like the Giants here. I'll go 21-10. All right, we might have to go rapid fire with these next few. We got Jacksonville 2-1 at Philadelphia taking on the 3-0 Eagles. Jalen Hurts is playing out of his mind. The whole Eagles team is. I like Philadelphia here.
Yeah, I also like Philadelphia. I'm all in on the Eagles this year after a 3-0 hot start. Jaguars did have surprised people 2-1. They beat the Chargers last week, but just because it's at Philly and for how good they're playing, I'm going to go with the Eagles 24-14.
I'm also going to go with the Eagles. I think that Jalen Hurts is second, just behind Lamar Jackson for MVP right now. I really like that point you said about him being the Lamar Jackson of the other division. I think that Trevor. I will say though, the Jaguars have been a decent, nice surprise this year. I think Trevor Lawrence has taken the step that a lot of people thought that Justin Fields would take, and I think they're finally trending in the right direction with Doug Peterson. But the Eagles just look unstoppable right now. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, in my opinion, are right outside of the top 5 wide receiver duos in the NFL. I think they're like 6th. And Miles Sanders has had a pretty underrated start to his year. He's been a top 10 fantasy running back. And I like the weapons that the Eagles have. I'm going to say 27-17.
One thing quick I didn't think about, Doug Peterson going back to Philly.
I wondered if he's going to get cheered or booed or what's going to happen there.
He brought him a Super Bowl. I'd hope they cheer for him.
Yeah.
But if you're him, you're going to want to beat your old team, so it might be closer than we think. Continue on, Drew.
Yeah. I've got Philadelphia winning this one. For starters, got to give credit where credit's due. Doug Peterson's absolutely turned this Jacksonville team around from being one of the worst to possibly one of the best we'll see this year. Trevor Lawrence has picked it up immensely after last year, but you've got this dynamic roster on Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, all powerhouse names. But I still think it's going to be a close game regardless. So I have Philadelphia winning 28-27.
Well, I don't think I have to say much. I have the Eagles in this one. Jalen Hurts is a monster. A.J. Brown is there. Devontae Smith is there. Miles Sanders is there. And that's just on offense. I think this is one of especially this year because it kind of fluctuates year to year. But this is one of those holeless teams. They don't really have, a big, they don't really have a hold on offense or defense when it comes to, their performance. I think they have a good offensive line. They have a good defensive line. They're one of those teams that have playmakers on both sides, so they're just not really by a committee team, but they also have, superstars that can reach out there and have good games. So I am going to go Philly. I'm going to go Philly 30-14.
I was going to say, I think Darius Slay, by the end of this year, will be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
I would argue he is right now, in my opinion.
All right, game 11, we got the 1-2 Jets at Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers, who are 1-2. Last week, Mitch went 20 for 32, 270 yards. No passing touchdowns, no interceptions, but he did have a rushing touchdown. Najee Harris, 15 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Joe Flacco did not have his best game. 28 to 52, 285 yards, no touchdown, 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles, turned it over twice in those fumbles. But Tyler Conklin, there we go, had 8 receptions for 84 yards. I like Pittsburgh in this one.
I also like Pittsburgh. We do get to see the first look at Zach Wilson this week.
I was going to say, I think Zach Wilson is playing.
But I don't think the Jets' offense or defense is going to be able to keep up with the Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin's just the better coach. Being at Pittsburgh, I like Pittsburgh 17-10.
I'm actually going to take the Jets here. I think that Mitch Trubisky just holds back this team. I think the longer they wait without starting Kenny Pickett is just the longer that they're just going to be, keeping a level of their offense just kind of hidden away. You could say that, it's not good to start a rookie-level quarterback on a win-now team, but a lot of people have to realize Kenny Pickett is 24. I don't think he's going to be much better than he is in his first few years than he will be in, let's say, like 5 to 7 years. I think he's going to be entering his prime, pretty soon after he debuts. But I just think that Mitch Trubisky is holding this team back. I really like the Jets wide receiver core. I think Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Corey Davis they have one of the most talented young wide receiver rooms in the NFL, and I think that I know like betting on Zach Wilson to have a good week one after coming off of an ankle injury is risky, but this is probably going to be like my hot take of the week. But I think that the Jets pull off a narrow victory, 17-14.
I've got the Jets winning this one as well. I mean, as he was saying, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, you have a strong wide receiver core there. Wide receiver 1 and 2 completely on lock. So I have them winning this one 14-13.
Yeah, I think even a guy like Breece Hall, I think he's one of those guys that keep them from being one-dimensional. So I'm gonna have to go with the Jets. I'm gonna say Jets 21-17.
And as we going into Game 12, as we predicted, Arizona lost to Los Angeles. Kyler Murray was 37 for 58. He had 314 yards, but no touchdowns or interceptions. But they did lose because Kyler Murray was probably playing that beta.
He was busy playing Modern Warfare 2, leave him be.
Yeah. I don't think their coaching staff are going to be telling them that. Yeah, Mayfield went 12 for 25, 170 yards, touchdown, no interceptions. And the Panther defense got 2 picks, Darren Brown and J.C. Horn last game. Though I do like the Cardinals. I'll go 21-14.
I also like the Cardinals in this one. I think they're just the better team. They have more talent, and they should win this game. We'll go Cardinals 24-17.
I'll take the Cardinals, but I don't feel great about it. James Conner is questionable again, but I don't know. I had a lot of faith in the Panthers this year. I'm a Baker believer, and I also thought that I was talking about this last week, but I thought DJ Moore was going to be a huge breakout candidate this year, and so far he has not shown that he can be, a reliable wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 2. I think there's just a lot of question marks about this Panthers team. I don't think Matt Rule is a good coach. I have him in that Cliff Kingsbury tier. It's actually going to be funny that they're playing each other this week. Probably 2 of the worst coaches in the NFL. But I have the Cardinals winning this one. I'll say 21-14.
I'll make the joke week after week. I think Arizona's going to take this one. Kyler Murray doesn't have to worry about Modern Warfare 2 betas or a double XP weekend going on. And, I mean, yeah, James Conner's questionable, but I still think they're going to take this one 21-17.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with everyone here. I'm very reluctant with the Cardinals. Maybe I could give a call to see if Kyler Murray watched film this week. If he did, then I'm going to go Cardinals by 20. No, I'm just kidding. But I think the Cardinals still have experience. They were one of the best teams last year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They still have playmakers on defense, so it's not going to be just up to Kyler Murray to score a whole bunch of points and run away with the game. So I think I'm going to go to Cardinals. Let's say they can put some points up on the board. I'm going to say Cardinals 28-21.
This kind of stinks. The last 4 games are going to be pretty good games, and I think we spent a lot of time on kind of the stinkers. But, all right, Game 13, we got New England going into Green Bay. I don't see a way that the Packers don't come out of this one with a win.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't. It's the Mac Jones list. Patriots. I think they got Brian Hoyer starting. There's no excuse for the Packers. They should win this pretty easily.
I think the Packers should at least have 3 or 4 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
I don't think Mac Jones is officially ruled out yet. He said that he was doing his best to get back to playing shape, but with the ankle injury that he suffered, I saw that it looked bad.
He doesn't want to play the Green Bay defense.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I will say I think that if the Buccaneers wide receivers were healthy last week, then that game would have been a lot different. But I think the Packers ride this momentum from what can't be looked at anything else but a huge statement win to a Patriots team that without Mac Jones has no hope. I'd say that the Packers win this one pretty easily. I'd say like 27-12.
Yeah, Mac Jones wasn't even seen at practice today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have Packers winning this one 17-14.
Mac Jones, Drew Bledsoe. I don't care who you have back there if you're the Patriots. I got the Packers taking this one. I think the Packers are going to be on as much as we've seen, just them like flounder in terms of certain areas throughout the year. I think they're going to have one of those bounce back games for sure. So I got Packers in this one. I'm going to say they could put some points up. I'm going to say 24-17.
I think the Packers can get. I'm hoping they break 30 points, but I would be okay with 27-28. But I'm gonna go. I'll go 28-17. I don't even think they'll put up 17 points. I'm being generous. But game 14, we got Denver 2-1 at Las Vegas taking on the 0-3 Raiders. Probably the most surprising 0-3 team that I've seen this season. But I do think the Raiders get their first win. I don't think the Broncos are going to be riding this week.
Yeah, I also got the Raiders. I think Derek Carr is going to put a focal point to give Adams the ball after pretty much ignoring him the last 2 weeks. So we're going to go with the Raiders.
I'm going to go with the Raiders as well. I think that it's going to be a little bit closer than people think. The Raiders rank dead last in the league in sacks, and Russell Wilson, even though he's had a slow start, has always had pretty good pocket awareness. But that being said, I don't trust Nathaniel Hackett at this point. I don't know. He's just made some really questionable decisions, and I think that if the Raiders can make a conscious effort to get what is, arguably the best wide receiver in football the ball more, I think that they take this one. Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, there's too many weapons on this team for them to be this bad for this long. I say that the Raiders get their first win 20-14.
Normally I'd say Broncos country, let's ride, but not today. I wanna see Vegas get at least one, so I have them winning 14-7.
I know everyone here is probably former Devontae Adams fans, but I'm going to go against you guys. I'm going to say the Broncos take this one. I'm going to say the Broncos take this one because I think frustration will start to set in with Oakland, depending on how the game starts off. I think, I'm going to have to say Russell Wilson will really put the pressure on that Oakland defense, and they're gonna I think for the first time this season gonna probably get a big lead and start to run away with it, and it's gonna be up to Oakland if they can come back. So we'll see with that, but in my opinion, I think Broncos are gonna take it. Let's say I think 24-17.
If Vegas lose, Devontae's going to be so mad. He's going to just start crying in the locker room. He's going to be like, I wish I would have stayed.
From best friends to frenemies. I shouldn't have said that. That's okay, though. Sunday night game, we got the 2-1 Chiefs at Tampa Bay, who are also 2-1. Tampa Bay is still banged up. They don't have any receivers besides Cole Beasley.
Mike Evans isn't back?
He might be. I'm not sure.
I think he got suspended, yeah, so he'll be
Did
back.
he get clear? Okay, so they have Mike Evans. But I think a Chiefs team that got totally upset by the Colts, they're going to be looking to bounce back. And what better way to do it than on a Sunday night taking on Tampa?
Yeah, I think I got the Chiefs in this one. I think just Patrick Mahomes has been playing better. The Buccaneers offense has not found its stride. So we're going to go with the Chiefs.
I'm also going to go with the Chiefs. I think they're going to go super pass heavy. The Buccaneers have a really good run defense, and I think this is going to be the first week where we see Clyde Edwards-Helaire have a bad game. But I have the Chiefs winning. I think they bounce back with a Buccaneers receiver core that is still very much depleted, even though they'll get Mike Evans back, and they've got to be reeling from that tough loss to the Packers last week. So I'd say that the Chiefs take this one 17-10.
I've got Kansas winning this one 14-10. Just plain simple.
All right.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Kansas City on this one, 17-14. I think it's going to be one of those defensive games that's going to sneak in a touchdown here and there. But yeah, I think as long as Kansas City sits over the top for Tom Brady and doesn't allow him to open up the game, I don't think the Buccaneers have much of a chance in this one because of the offensive volatility that comes with playing the Chiefs. So Chiefs are a decent defensive team and obviously still a very good offensive team when it comes to having Mahomes back there. But I think we're going to see a really, really good game. It's going to be closer, but I got the Chiefs going 17-14.
All right, then our last Monday night game, our last game on Monday night, next Monday, we got the 2-1 Rams at the 49ers, who are 1-2. I like the Rams, even though Jimmy Garoppolo's playing smart football last week. He gave up 2 points instead of the 6 that he would have given up. But yeah, I like the Rams. I'm a not even a low key. I'm a dang, I can't even say his name. That's funny. I'm a Matt Stafford fan. I like that he's got this kind of second coming here in LA. So I like the Rams here.
I also like the Rams. I think they're the division favorite through 3 weeks. The Niners or the Broncos have not looked good. We're going to go with the Rams 24-17.
I also like the Rams. I think that they've figured out a lot of the question marks that they had week one. They've started to diversify touches between Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. You've seen Cam Akers get a little bit more involved in the offense. And I think he took a lot of responsibility for that week one. And we've also seen that Allen Robinson has gotten a lot more involved in the passing game. It's not just been Cooper Kupp. I think that they've started to figure out a lot of the problems that existed in week one. And, you can't ever count out that defense with Aaron Donald looming. So I say that the Rams win this one, I'd say 24-16.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Rams winning this one 24-17. I just can't get behind Jimmy G. He made that smart play last week, but other than that, I have no faith in him.
Yeah, after putting Dan over Lorski, I'm not running behind Jimmy G either. I'm gonna go Rams in this one. I'm gonna say Rams. Their offense is good, but I don't really see them as a team that can put up Ravens level of points. I'm gonna go 21-14 with the Rams. I think they're gonna beat the 49ers.
I just wanted to say real quick, I just literally got a Bleacher Report notification, but Tua and Waddle will be active for the Dolphins game, but Joe Mixon is coming back and Lyle Collins will be playing. So that game today should be pretty good.
Tune in.
I was gonna say, I might have to tune in. I forgot when the start time, probably like 7:20. 7:20, that's usually when they are.
So both teams should be pretty much back up to full strength offensively.
Yeah. We're 3 minutes over, but that's okay. We got all of our picks in. So that's going to wrap up the Thursday edition of Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. Again, I'm your host, Mike Selverson, along with Austin, David, Drew, and Surreal. We will see you guys next Thursday for more NFL picks. Take care and be good.